So welcome everyone to this session. So Phil's had a family emergency and won't be joining us today. Have tried to play the quick video message, but doesn't seem to want to work for us. So I will upload that and send it through to everybody anyway. We're really excited to have Tom McGuire from Large Loss Mastery joining us today to go through our upcoming Large Loss Mastery course. So I'm going to pass it over to Tom to introduce himself and just tell us about his experience.
All right. Hello, everybody. I am Tom McGuire. And in the restoration world, I started out in 1986, which in the restoration world, basically, as we know it, the restoration industry in the U.S. as we know it, started in about 1979, 1980. And so I was there when we were founding the business and founding the best practices of our industry, and basically the foundation on what we are today. And so I've been very blessed. I've worked with some of the most talented people in the industry over my 36 years, and have had an absolute blast. Have done projects all over the world, including Singapore, Kuwait, Mexico, Canada, and London. It has been a great journey, and with some incredible projects in there also. I was one of the project managers on the World Trade Center job in 1993, as well as almost every hurricane since Hurricane Andrew here in the States. Spent 2 years in New Orleans with Hurricane Katrina, and have been involved in just some unbelievable projects. Probably the most memorable would be the World Trade Center in 1993. That was 8.8 million square feet of office space that we completed in 16 days with 4,000 people a day. And so just very blessed, again, just with the talent that I've been able to work with. And so what we did when we put together Large Loss Mastery, it's all based on those best practices that we created from the very beginning, and are still in use and even more effective today than they were then. And so everything that we teach in the class has been in use and has been proven over the last 36 years and 40 years. I've just been, again, blessed to have worked with these people that knew more than me. And I'm one of those guys that believes that if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to get a different room. You need to be surrounded by people that know more than you do, or that know something that you don't, so that they can support you when you need to, and you can support them when they need support. And so it's been a great 36 years. It's flown by. I spent a good 12 years of my life in a Marriott hotel or on a catastrophe or somewhere around the world. And what we've done with Large Loss Mastery is we've taken all of that experience and experience of everybody that I've worked with, and we've plugged it into manuals, formulas, tools, estimating tools. And we're very happy that people, and you're actually live right now from one of our classes in Cape Canaveral, Florida, where we have our biz dev class. We got a business development class that it's our newest class, and we're having a lot of fun with it, where we teach people about developing their businesses, growing their businesses, and becoming successful. And so this is our small set. We have a 2-screen set, and so everybody, of course, is out having dinner right now, but we're here with you guys. Very happy to be here, and I will answer any questions that you have. And if we have time, we'll do some demos or whatever we need to do. But very excited to bring Large Loss Mastery to Australia, and I've never been there, and so I'm really looking forward to it. and very excited about working with y'all.
Awesome. So I guess what is large loss mastery and the Edge all about?
What large loss mastery is about in the States, what has happened here is there's a gap between knowledge and experience. And so a lot of the older group has retired or whatnot, and the younger generation hasn't learned the best practices that we created over the decades. And so what we've done is we put all of that information into large loss mastery. And so when you come to one of our classes, you get everything that we have, all of our information, all of our data, all of our sheets, all of our contracts, scope of works, all of those things come with the class, and we give you everything that we have, because what we want to do is to make sure that the industry is still strong, that nobody forgets where we came from, and how to be successful in this industry, not just in the short term, but in the long term. And the Edge is born out of that. The Edge is based on, it's an estimating tool, and it is the fastest estimating tool in the industry. And what we have done is we have baked in over 36 years of data into the Edge. And that data that we have taken from about 7,000 projects tells us the rules of thumb that work and gives us quick shortcuts. And what we have found is that the Edge is within 5 to 10% of any estimating tool, but in a fraction of the time. And for example, we're here at the Radisson Resort in Cape Canaveral, Florida. And this is a very nice property, probably about 400,000 square feet. And I'm sorry, I haven't translated that into square meters yet, but I promise when I come to I will be close. And so what we've done is, once we know our square footage or square meters, and we know the type of damage, the type of facility, and the severity of the damage, we can estimate, we can get our first budget number within about 40 to 50 minutes. As long as we have the data, as long as our damage assessment is complete, and we know, again, the square footage of the damaged area, we know that what type of damage it is, what type of facility, the calendar days to complete the job, and then our production rate. And the production rate is the most important part of the Edge estimating tool, and it makes it extremely accurate. And what production rate is what one person can complete in a given period of time. And so as restorers, there are many classes, and we always learn the production rate of equipment. So in other words, we always know how many pints or how many gallons per hour, per day, a piece of equipment will produce, or we know the CFM of desiccant equipment, the CFM, and pints or gallons per day are the production rate of equipment. What is rarely taught, and actually the only place that it is taught, is here at Large Loss Mastery, that production rate exists for people, and it's used everywhere in the industry. It's used in every factory on the planet. Production rate is used. So think about this. If you had 1 million widgets that you needed to produce, or 1 million bottles of water that you needed to produce, what do you need to know in order to produce those? You need to know how many can we produce in a period of time. Whether it's robots or whether it's people, it doesn't matter. It's all production. So once we know how many people or robots it takes to make 1 million bottles of water in a certain period of time, that tells us the size of the factory, tells us the resources that we need to do it, tells us everything that we need. And what we've done with the edge is we've taken that technology and plugged in all of our data that gives us those numbers. So we can tell you, once you plug in your square footage affected, once you tell us what type of facility is, what's damaged, what type of damage, fire, water, mold, COVID, whatever it may be, we can tell you exactly how many people it will take to complete that job. Because the number one thing that we see here in the States, because I'm also a consultant that looks at files that are troubled, and they're usually troubled because the crew sizes are too big, because people don't know how to factor the crew size. They know everything about equipment, but they rarely know about crew size. And so we plugged all of that in, and it's extremely effective, accurate. And the more you use the edge, the better you get at it. The more we have people that use it on commercial, residential, mold, reconstruction. Some guys use it on everything. Some guys just use it for commercial work. But it is extremely effective, and it's fun. It works very quickly. You can use it on any mobile device. We're very happy to have brought that to market well, this version is a year old. Excuse me. I'm battling allergies here in Florida. And so that's what the basis of the edge is, and in large loss mastery, it's all based on proven techniques. And techniques that we've been using for 30 plus years.
Yep. Awesome. Do you have a case study at all that you can share with us?
I do.
Awesome.
As a matter of fact. Now, would you like to see the Edge Plus, or hang on one second, I got to get rid of a. Hopefully my voice will hold out here. Okay, so let's say we were going to use this hotel, and I don't know, can I screen share?
You should be able to. Give it a go and let me know if you have issues.
Okay. Excuse me, everybody. The one thing about 36 years in the industry, my allergies suck. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, sure can.
All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just show you a completed example. And so this is, we're going to go ahead and pull up the Radisson that's here. This is one of our demos that we did. I'm going to sign back in. Excuse me. All right, I think we're good now. One more. So our first step, I'm just going to show you kind of a little background first. The main edge variables, and what's beautiful about the Edge Plus is it is universal. As long as you have pricing, you can use this tool anywhere in the world. And so as long as we know our rates for our project manager, our project accountant, our supervisor, and our production labor, we're set. Those are our main categories. And so those are our main factors in the algorithm. We can upload our contract or any contract that we need to. And we've also started to integrate. You can see that we're integrated with Clean Claims, which is an excellent tool. And my buddy Lane, who is sitting here right here, is the creator of Clean Claims. So I got to give him some kudos while we're here. In the Help Center, you'll find videos, and you'll also find historical data that is behind the edge. And I'll actually open that up and kind of walk you through a little bit of that. But we have instructional videos for commercial projects, residential projects, and you can see the estimator, the production rate calculator, and everything involved with the edge. There is also contracts, historical data, the historical data behind the edge. Excuse me. All right, I think we're good. I hope so. Sorry about that, everyone. And so the edge is based on 36 years of historical data. And so these are, once we know the area needed to be cleaned, the square footage footprint or the square meter footprint, calendar days to complete the job, and labor production rate, we can estimate any project. I always tell everybody to always look around and wherever you are, and always ask yourself, what if, how much, and how long? If we're always asking ourselves those questions of what if, how much, and how long, we can always answer those questions. Then we can always come up with, once we know our square footage, we can determine our first budget number. So we're trying to figure out I always try to work with 3 numbers. I want my low number, my mid number, and my high number. And so that's really what we focus on. I want everybody to walk around in every building they go into, whether it's a library, whether it's a airport, whether it's a coliseum, wherever it is. I want them to look around and say, all right, what if this happened? How much would it cost and how long would it take? And that's really what we dive into deeply in large loss mastery. And so once we get down into our production rate, and so like I was talking about earlier, production rate is what one person, one robot, one whatever can do in a certain period of time. And it's used universally around the world, whether in manufacturing, construction, lawn mowing, lawn services, all of those things apply to production rate applies to all of those things. The most common, and these are universal, the most common production rate is 150 to 200 square feet per person per day. Now, when you see that 150 or 200, it's everything in that square footage. And so it's the walls, ceilings, floors, contents, fixtures, it's everything in that space. And so when you see that, for estimating purposes, we're just going to talk about the square footage footprint. And so the 150 to 200 is the most common. So almost on every situation, we're going to start at 150 and we're going to go up or we're going to go down, one way or the other. Production rate factors include the wall, ceiling height, what type of damage was it, what type of facility is it? Is it a hospital, factory, office space, warehouse? What was affected? Once we know our production rate, then we can plug in, this is, just in the background here, this is just some historical data. This calculation is as old as the industry. And so once we know our square footage, we're going to divide it by our production rate, equals our man days divided by our calendar days, is going to equal our production labor needed divided by 10. 1 to 10 is the ratio of supervisors to production rate or to production labor. That's the standard here in the States. Hang on one second. Dang it.
It's always going to happen when you got something to do.
Of course. Well, we've been talking all day too, because we've been here in class.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to jump back. That's the basics of it. What I'm going to do now, if I can do this. Okay. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to come up here and we're going to come back here to the Radisson. This was a demo that we did, an ERP demo that we did, an emergency response plan demo that we did for the Radisson here. In the first place we're going to start is a production rate. So again, all of this is based on historical data. And so what you'll see when we pull this up is you're going to see we have all of the facilities listed here. Hospitality, residential, educational, we have everything. Thanks. And I also have cough lozenges here that I'm working around. And so we have government, we have church, we have every type of facility. Every type of facility has a starting production rate. Yeah, I have one in here still that it's stuck in my tooth. And so, all right, so we're going to stay with hospitality. Let's say this is a fire and water mold. Okay, so we're going to select fire and water mold. Next up is going to be our ceiling height. And what we're going to do is we're going to select the highest point in the facility. In this facility, we've selected 20 to 40. Next up is our contaminant level. We're going to leave that at a level 5. We have a choice between level 1 being the least amount of damage and level 5 being the most. I always max everything out and then come back and adjust it if I need to. So we're going to do the same thing with contents. The property that we're at right here is a low-level property spread out over about 8 acres. And so we're going to leave that at 2 to 20. Next up, we're going to select whatever applies to the project. And so we have debris removal, content manipulation, HVAC, which is our heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. No elevators, and no confined space or containment. So what we're going to do is see that our production rate based on historical data is 169. So now we're going to insert that into the edge, which is the estimating tool. And I won't bore you with my typing or anything, but here's the information in front, just your basic job information. And then here's where we're going to enter in the square footage for the hotel. And you can see that we've entered in 82,000 square feet, 14 calendar days. And here's our production rate of 169. What that automatically will do is calculate the number of supervisor labor and the number of production rate. So that quickly we can determine that we need 8 supervisors and 78 production people. We threw in 4 techs, 4 drying technicians. And so that's going to make up our labor. We can add as much labor as we want. We can change all the labor rates. We can do whatever. It's very flexible. All of these rates can be changed. Right now, we're just going to be on regular time, no overtime. And so the next section that you'll see that it automatically calculates is also our supplies and materials, our company-owned equipment, subcontractors, and subsistence. Subsistence being our travel costs, hotels, rental cars, per diems, any cost related to getting our crews to the site. So it's going to automatically calculate. What we're going to do, I'm going to show you this that's completed, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to do one just real fast, and you'll see how quickly it calculates once we know our information. So let's come down to our next step. If we have for this job, we're going to have fuel, subcontractors, and in the time and materials world, this is a cost plus item. And so subcontractors, purchase supplies, and all of that will be our next category. Next up, we're going to have our specialty services. So if we had vital document recovery where we're going to be drying or cleaning, we would just simply enter in the cubic footage for those documents, but we don't have any on this job. So we're going to leave that. Structural drawing, which is going to include our generators, any desiccant drying equipment is going to be in here. Again, this is based on historical data. Our default number for drying per square foot is going to be $3.74. Now this can change. You can adapt this to any environment, any part of any region of the country, of the world. You know, whatever fits your market, we can develop the square footage price shortcut in here. With here, we always use between $3 and $3.74. So we entered it in our square footage, and it automatically calculates. Our deodorization square footage price will automatically calculate. And then we also have a general reconstruction, which we didn't have any general reconstruction here. You can add in as many line items as you would like. And then here's our total. But let me come back up here and show you. Our next step then is our scope of work. And then we have our contract. And then I'll show you the exported view of a completed project. And so let's go and come down in here into our scope of work. You can see that I've already deselected the items that aren't included. So we're not doing vital documents. So we're just going to come down our scope and click on what doesn't apply. It's going to pull it out automatically. And the beautiful thing about this is we've loaded this up, and it's loaded up with information that doesn't apply to every job, but we've loaded it up so that it makes you think. It makes you think about, oh man, I forgot that, or I should have thought about, I need to add to that. And so there's a lot of stuff in here that you'll just simply click on and delete. And every time that we click on something, it is pulling it out of the document. And so let's go ahead, and you can see there's a we got 7 and 8 page document. And you just scroll down, you got demolition, you got walls, floors, ceilings, everything in here. What we have is line items for wall, ceilings, floors, structure, everything. The one thing that we're not doing is we're not applying a number, a value to each line item. What we're doing is we're applying a budget number for all of the line items. And so it's very effective, and we have everything in here from windows, elevators, stairwells, drop ceilings, contents, hard surfaces, odor control, HVAC, electronics, vital documents. Again, we're just going to click on what doesn't apply, and that's what these empty boxes are here, because we've already been through here. And then I'm going to we're going to work on one just real quick and show you we can put together numbers, our baseline budget numbers in minutes. And so once we have this, here's our number. We're just under $1 million. We're going to come in here now. We're going to attach our contract, and I'll show you what the exported view looks like and what the client, the end user, gets. So I'm just going to put in our default contract. You can see when we do our drop down, you can use your custom contract, and that might be a different contract for each client, or it might be, you know, just the contract that applies. We're just going to leave it with the default contract. And so now I'm going to come up and I'm going to export, and here is the view that your client gets. So here's your cover sheet. Your cover sheet with your totals for your labor, your equipment, your supplies, your materials, everything that's needed for this project. And then you scroll down and you'll see next is our scope of work. Here's our scope. Everything that we did not select is in here and creates our final scope, which is structural damage, content, odor, HVAC, electronics, vital documents, special points, project duration, pricing. And then I'm just going to scroll down here. Everything that we didn't deselect is in there. There's our number. And then right behind that is our scope, is our T&M contract. So literally we can literally put together our estimate, scope, and contract in one spot and use DocuSign or a DocuSign type of tool, and you could literally be ready to sign the document right now. And so let me jump back, and I'm going to jump in here, and we are just going to open up a new project. So let me come in here, and I'm just going to call this one E. And we're going to open him up, and then we're going to come in here, and let's say, all right, we're at 8:30 here in the States. So I'm going to come down here to an office. Let me find office space. Now, when I select office space, we're going to back to production rate. Here's our starting point for office space. It's 277. Historical data tells us that this would be the highest rate that we would do for office space would be 277. So let's select fire and water again. And let's say we have a highest point in the building at 20 feet to 40 feet. Again, when we come to Australia, we will have these converted. We are working on a conversion right now as we speak. And so when we get over to see you guys, we will be ready. And so next up, we see we're at 190 right now. So let's say we're going to do HVAC. Let's say we have content manipulation. You can see that all of this affects our production rate. Containment is going to apply to projects where we're going to have a lot of PPE, a lot of personal protective equipment. It's not going to apply if you're just going to put up a barrier, just a barrier wall. And so we'll leave that out for now. We won't have any confined space on this for this exercise. We are in a high rise, so we will do the elevators and we'll throw in some debris removal. That gives us 145 as our production rate. We're going to come over and you'll see, I'm going to come back down here, and here's our production rate that's put in here. But you'll see that I have shortcuts in here built in for you, that if you read the description below, it tells you the category. And so you can bypass the production rate calculator and go right to my shortcuts. Once you're experienced enough, you'll be able to do this without any problem. And so let's leave this at 145. And then when you go through the class, you'll be well versed at using this tool. It will change how you do business. And so let's go down and I'll show you what we do next. We have our square footage. So we're just going to say 150,000 square feet. And we're going to apply 21 calendar days. It's an office complex. Once we've applied those three numbers, now once we have entered in our square footage, our calendar days, and our production rate, it has already calculated our number of supervisors that we need. We need 5 supervisors and 50 production laborers. Again, we can add as many people as we want, but I just want to demonstrate how quickly we already have our number, our baseline number, our dirt number, like I like to call it. We're not going to go any lower. And so here's our supplies and materials number. Here's our company owned equipment number. Here's our subcontractor number. And here's our subsistence. Again, subsistence is travel costs, airfares, hotels, per diems, and all of that. All of these can be adjusted to meet the job needs, whatever that may be. And so with all of that, I'm going to scroll down and you will see that we have our first baseline number. So once we know our square footage, our calendar days to complete the job, and our production rate, you can see that we put together our first number. Now I can look at $4.95 a square foot, and I know that's low. I know that's going to be low. I know we got to come back and add more in, but that's how quickly we get our first number. And so let's come back up and finish. And if I know, let's say we're going to add in some technicians, let's add in some techs. Hopefully I can type here. And we'll throw 4 techs in. We're going to do $65 an hour. We're going to put them in at 8 hours. And we're just going to leave that at that. You can add as many people as you want. You can see it's already calculated all of our labor for us. Every time that we make a change, it is recalculating at the bottom. So we're going to have some desiccant dehumidifiers, which are going to require fuel. And so we're going to put a fuel company in here. Again, if I can type. And fuel, I don't know how fuel is for you guys, but for us, it is historically high right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm almost unable, you're almost unable to predict how much that's going to cost. But let's throw in $100,000. At today's rates, that's probably not going to be enough, but we're going to do that just for demonstration. Next up, we're going to come down here. We're going to enter in our 150,000 square feet at $3.75 for drying. If we're doing residential, I will come back here and I will adjust that number down for residential to about $3 a square foot. But again, when we do our class next in August, we will walk you through all of this and you'll be well versed on all of it. And so next up, we're going to deodorize also because we had fire and water, and it's an office building, so we got to make sure it smells good for everybody. We're not going to do any general reconstruction or any roof building on this one. And so here's our number. And you can see in 10 minutes, we have a number that I feel pretty good with, $11 a square foot. I know here in the States, an office complex building, that number is going to be pretty solid. We could go up. So let's say we want to zone. We want to figure out what is our price zone. So we're at 1.5 million right now, just under $11 a square foot. What is our zone? So now I'm going to come up and I'm going to say, okay, so what if we're at 145? What if it's easier? What if it's not as difficult as 145? Let's say we can do it at 200. Let's come down and see what that did. Just making that one change is going to give us our second number. So we are at 1.5. Now we're at 1.4. So I know that my second number is 1.4. My first number is 1.5. Now let me think about this and say, maybe it's going to be tougher. Maybe it's going to be a harder job. Maybe it's going to be closer to maybe 115 or 120. So this is going to be my high number. And so I will have 3 numbers now that I can work with and sleep on and come back to. And so here is my third number. So I have 1.4 million, 1.5 million, and 1.7 million. That would be my price range that now that I would be considering for that project at 150,000 square feet. And so think about how quickly we just did that. And this is real. And the beautiful thing about this, and the guys that come through our class, the companies that come through through our class and our users, we currently have about 250 users. If you equate that to companies, it's about 100 different companies that are currently using the Edge Plus. And they always come back within 5 to 10% of any estimating tool that they're currently using. And the beautiful thing is we do it in a fraction of the time, because we've taken all of that data that we've gathered over the years and plugged it into this tool that is extremely effective, not only for restorers, but it's also effective for insurance adjusters, consultants that are setting reserves and budget numbers for projects. This is extremely effective, and that's the fun thing about it. And it can be used if you like small screens, you can use it on a small screen. As you can tell behind me, I like big screens. The small screen is but when we first put it together and it worked on any device, it used to wake me up in the morning and I would look at it and it's like, it was awesome. And so we're having a lot of fun with it. I get calls all the time from people that get their first large loss using our system, and they're absolutely thrilled. And it saves time, it saves money. One of the things that drives me crazy about the estimating that we're doing in the States today is we're spending a lot of time and money estimating, and we're putting a lot of information into the estimates that really should be put into the invoice. And so we're doing a lot of the adjusters' work on the front end and may not even get the job. And so that drives me crazy. And that's why when we put the Edge together, it's all based on historical proven data. This is the first time that it's been in an application. However, we've been using the tools that are built into the algorithms for about 30 years, and including the World Trade Center when that estimate was put together back in '93. And so we're very, very excited about it. It is very accurate, and we can't wait to bring it to Australia.
Awesome. So just going to open it up to everyone. Does anybody have any questions? If you just send it through to the chat and I can unmute you.
No questions? Did we put everybody to sleep? I hate it when I do that.
What I'm going to do is just allow people. So if you have any questions, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Hey, Tom, I had something real quick.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Thanks for the presentation. Just curious, you mentioned when you were going through the scope of works, each line item did not reflect the price per line item. If you're coming up with a large number at the end, between 1 and 2 or over 2 million, and you have an assessor come back and say, I need you to justify this cost, what do you charge me per line item here? Is there something in the software that can assist with that?
Well, it's in the time and materials world is not a line item deal. And so the similarities between, say, Xactimate, where your unit costs are more line item, we're offering the same line items, but we just do a budget number for those line items. And so there's just one number, and that's customary for time and materials estimating. And what is attached to this then is your time and materials contract, which has all of your pricing, all of your labor rates, all of your equipment rates, all of your supplies and material rates. All of those things are attached to it. And so those are in the time and materials world, that's the customary method.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
So we've got another question from Oliver. Can the final report be edited to change spelling? That'll probably be a big one because American versus Australian.
Yes, and that is one of the things that we're working on. to make it as universal as possible. And yes, you'll be able to edit.
And we've got another question. So for the course in August, who will benefit the most? Is it mainly for company owners or for technicians as well?
We have in our classes, we have a very diverse in the way that we teach. You can come, we have people that come into our class that just opened a restoration company. And then we have at the same table, we have people that, have been in business for, 20 years. And what our goal is, and we break it down to where the way that we teach it, anybody can pick it up. And when you leave, everybody is on an even playing field. And so what we do is we break the class into teams, and then they compete. We have a case study exercise where the teams will compete to win the job. So they'll use the edge, they'll use all the other tools that we give them to put together their price, put together a contract, put together a scope of work, and then try to win the project. We also do critical path and work plan management and managing changes and all of that. And so when we teach everybody that, and some of the teams that win are not always the ones that have the most experience. And because that's what we want everybody to leave the class thinking, what if, how much, and how long, and have a number in their head, regardless of their level of experience. And so we have technicians, we have project managers, we have business owners, we have consultants, we have adjusters. We have a wide, we were just in Lake Tahoe with our class, and we had a person in our class that had been in the industry for 2 days. And so we had to guide them along a little bit because they were new to everything. And what we do at Large Loss Mastery is remove the blinders. What happens in our industry so much these days is everybody gets stuck in their box, and you're told to be happy in your box. Go to your box, be happy, and blah, blah, blah. We remove the blinders because in my life, in my career, has taken me all over the world. And I never had any blinders, or I wasn't in the box. We were always on projects that were unbelievable. We were very fortunate, very, very blessed. And so what I try to do now is take everybody along that journey, give them all of the information that we have, and give them all the tools that we have so that they can go out and get outside the box and have that same type of experience in restoration.
Awesome. Any other questions from anybody? Don't think so. If anybody thinks of anything after the Zoom or over the next however long, you can feel free to send us an email or a message on Facebook or LinkedIn or any of our contact methods. And if we don't know the answer, we'll try and find out and get back to you. So Tom is coming to Sydney in Australia to run the first Large Loss Mastery course from the 23rd to the 26th of August this year. So what's the biggest reason for why should people attend?
Well, the biggest reason is exactly what we were just saying. Is we want you to be outside the box. We want you to see everything for what it is, and to utilize tools that we've been using for a long time. They haven't always been available to the public, and quite honestly, a lot of consultants in our industry are not happy that I am doing what I'm doing, because these are tools that they have used and are using in their own practices. And they've taken the things we developed years ago and kind of made their own version. But this is the first time that it's been available to the public and into the public world where it needs to be. And so it benefits everybody. If you're in the restoration world, whether you're a consultant, adjuster, or restorer, all of the things, all the techniques, all of the best practices that we teach, you can put to work almost immediately.
Awesome. What do you think is going to be the biggest thing that they'll get out of doing the course in Sydney?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you'll walk away. The first day will be kind of cloudy because it's a lot of new material. It's new to you, but we've been using it for a long time, and so that's probably the big. And then after that, the lights come on, and it's like bam, and then you realize and by the time we're done in a 3 or 4 day course, and you look back on what you just did in those 3 or 4 days, how long would have it taken you to bid on the Sydney Opera House or a Superdome or the World Trade Center? How long would that have taken you beforehand? And most of the time, people would say, "Man, we wouldn't even have done this.
Too hard basket."
Yes, it would have been like, no, we would have walked away from that.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is give you the tools to where you don't have to walk away. You can compete on every project.
Awesome.